Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. This is Christopher Aaron. It is November 23rd, 2021. This is the iGold Advisor channel. I want to wish those viewers here in the United States an early happy Thanksgiving, which will be this Thursday. I hope you enjoy the holiday shortened week and your time off. Just remember that even if you're not in the United States, you should be very careful of placing too much emphasis on any price action that you see in the markets this week. Anytime you have the largest economy in the world that is shut down for a holiday for a couple of days, you know the trading action is ripe for manipulation. It's ripe for people to try to flush stops. And so you want to be very careful about placing too much emphasis on the price action for this week. Next week, things should get a lot more relevant. But once again, happy Thanksgiving. In this video, I want to do a continuation education series on the power of warrants, part 2. So let's continue it from where we were a couple of weeks ago. If you did not watch the introduction video to this series, make sure to watch that. This is going to be even more in-depth with even more powerful information for you on what these warrants are and how this can really change your life, your career as an investor, as a human being on planet Earth who is trying to become financially independent, which is the name of the game. We don't want to be beholden to anyone. I think everyone's goal is to become financially independent so you can move about freely on the planet, do the things that you want to do, travel to where you want to travel, associate with who you want to associate with. And that's actually what I'm doing right now. I'm traveling. So this is coming to you from a hotel room. I am back on the East Coast of the United States and doing some traveling over the course of the winter. And basically the point of this series of videos is to try to share with you. All I'm trying to do is to share with you my education as an investor so that if it can help you, wonderful. And if it doesn't help you, you're free to find other sources of information that work better for you. And, this is really important to me because, look, I didn't learn all this on my own. As we look at the legal disclaimer here for one moment, I had people throughout my life who helped me. One person individually, I won't name any names here, but one colleague of mine a number of years ago really helped me to understand this topic that we are going to be discussing right now. So part of it is sharing what I know so that more people can change their lives through their investments, through financial independence, and have the freedom to come and go as you please as a sovereign individual on the face of planet Earth. That is what we are doing. So let's talk about these warrant gains, what is possible through these warrants. Remember that when we participate in buying shares in mining companies from the last video, this is a recap. When you participate through buying shares in mining companies through private placements, not only do you get oftentimes better terms on the shares themselves, but you also receive generally, not in every single investment, but most investments, you will receive free warrants. And it occurred to me that when we did our last video here where we were doing the introduction on warrants, it occurred to me that I did not make it clear enough one of the many powers of these warrants. And so this video, I want to focus on one specific power of these warrants that needs some more detail to it. So if you're an up-and-coming investor or you're a higher net worth investor, or if you plan to be a higher net worth investor within the next several years and you're saying this is my goal to get to this point so I can do these investments, which do require a minimum of $10,000 Canadian per investment, so they're not for everyone. But if your goal is to, let's say, get to that point, I want to explain to you why I think you should really keep that goal in mind at all times, how powerful this is. So What I've done here is I am showing a box of the warrants that we have held in our firm's capital here through the existing service that we've been publishing for the last 5 years, which has been called Precious Metals Intelligence. And we have done approximately, as you can see, one of these private placements to accumulate these warrants, approximately one per year for the last 3 years, right? You can see 2018, 2019, 20, and 21. So we've done 4 different companies. And I want to explain to you how powerful this is, these warrants that we've accumulated here, in case this is something that you would like to consider for your own investment career. So these are the names of the companies that we have invested in. Now, I cannot guarantee that we still are invested in these companies because these are the warrants that we hold. And remember, the warrants are separate from the shares. I will talk about the shares in a moment. Just remember, we are talking about the free warrants that we receive here. And as you can see on the top, so what happened here with this company called Sandspring Resources is first it changed its name to GoldX, and then GoldX got bought out by another larger gold mining company called Grand Columbia Gold. We first made this investment in July of 2018. So almost 3.5 years ago, we received a full warrant for this investment, and it expired, you can see here, July of 2023. So in other words, this was a 5-year term on these free warrants that we received. 5 years. So we had 5 years in order for the value of the company to rise above the exercise price, which is right here at $4.605. And sure enough, here we are at 570. This is the data as of 1 week ago. 570 for a gain of 23%. And so you can look at the other warrants that we received, for example, through Impact Silver, the private placement we did in August of 2019. And you can see that these warrants now have a gain of 76%. The Spanish Mountain Gold private placement that we did just over 1 year ago that received full warrants at 15 cents, now trading above 30 cents, so that's greater than 113% gain. And you can see the last one that we just did a few months ago has yet to rise above the exercise price, so that one simply has no gain. Remember that with free warrants, you cannot take a loss, because if it's below the exercise price, you simply don't exercise them. There's no gain and no loss. Whereas if you're above the exercise price, you have the gain. Aha. So this is the point of this video. I'm going to make it right here. The warrants that we receive and the gains that we get from these warrants, from private placements, are entirely risk-free gains for the warrants themselves, because they require no outlay of cash until an investor is ready to actually exercise these warrants. Okay? Let this sink in for a minute. These gains that you see right here, including a doubling of our money in a little bit over a year. And remember, the minimum is $10,000. So if you're talking about this, you're talking about over a $10,000 profit in a year. These gains were risk-free. Risk-free. I will say it one more time. We took on no additional risk in considering the warrants here for these private placements. Why is that? Because the warrants themselves, as I said just a few moments ago, if they do not exceed the exercise price by the expiration date, they simply expire what's called out of the money. They have no value to them. Since they were given to us for free, something that has no value that's given to you for free is simply zero. It's not a gain or it's not a loss. But the ones that rise above the exercise price before the expiration date, okay, the ones that rise above the exercise price before the time runs out, we did not need to outlay any cash in order to capture these gains until when? Boom, until we're ready to exercise, capture the profit, and lock in the profit. So in other words, you do not outlay any cash until you are ready to crystallize your gains. And in this case, let's say you had participated with us in Spanish Mountain and you've doubled your money on the warrants in a little bit over a year, and you have a $10,000 profit minimum. We have some investors that did a lot more than the minimum, so they're sitting on $20, $30, $50, $100,000 gains in a little bit over a year. You are free to do whatever you want with those profits as soon as you exercise it. You could convert that to real estate. You could convert that to physical gold or silver. You can convert that to anything else that you want, more mining shares, more private placements, cash if you need it. The most important point here, there was no risk taken on for the warrants themselves, since all you do is sit back and wait. And so, for example, when we're talking about this gain here, 23.8% in the Sand Spring Gold X Gran Colombia warrants, some people might say, well, 23% gain in 3 years, that's not that great. Aha, remember, it's not that we had to have our money sitting in that waiting for 20% in 3 years. We didn't have any money in these warrants. All we do is wait, and the moment we're ready to lock this in, boom, you exercise the warrants, and you've got this profit that you never had before. Okay? So, for the warrants themselves, you have risk-free gains. This is a game changer. I talked in the very beginning about how I have a colleague who helped me when I was getting started in this side of the industry, and I'm very thankful for the education that he gave me, so it's appropriate to say that this Thanksgiving. And one of the things that I'm hoping to do here for you is to help educate you on the power of these warrants. This is life-altering when you really start to do this, and you do it repeatedly, and you do a number of placements every year, and you start crystallizing gains like this every single year. The contrast to that, and I have blocked off the names of the companies here, but this is the exact results from our current portfolio. The names of the companies are for Precious Metals Intelligence subscribers, so I can't give that away for free. But as of 1 week ago, the publish date, these are the gains that we have in our open market positions. Hey, look, nothing to sneeze about here, right? The difference, though, that I'm trying to really drill home here is that these gains are what we should call risk gains. This is actual outlay of cash. So if you're going to take a position here, $1,000, $5,000, $10,000, in this case, let's say we have a 5% gain or a 3% gain or a 10% gain, right? But what also could have happened is these things could have fallen 5, 10%, 11%, right? And we could have been sitting on losses. So in your open market, when you're just going out, and let's say you're using E-Trade or TD Ameritrade or Interactive Brokers, and you're just going out and buying the shares in these things, if the price goes up, great, you have a profit. But if the price goes down, you have a loss. This is the big difference here. Open market purchases are risk gains. You risk your initial investment. Anytime you're buying shares, including the shares that you buy in the private placement, there is risk to that. However, the key about the private placement is that you also get risk-free upside by the warrants that have no cash outlay required until what? You can wait and wait and wait and sit around and sip pina coladas in your favorite hammock waiting for these things to be in the profit, and then you exercise them and you take your profits off the table. I'm serious, guys. I'm not making this up. This is powerful stuff here. On that note, I want to let you know that our next private placement for these free warrants is now open. I will discuss this company in just a moment, but I just want to let you know the deadline to register is this coming Monday, November 29th. I know it's quick, and I know some of you won't see this video in time, but if you do and you're saying, hey, you know what, this makes sense. I've been following Chris for a while. I can see his own journey as an investor. As I said, that's what I'm doing here. I'm sharing with you my journey as an investor. And if you're saying that makes sense to me and I want to join you on this path, November 29th is the deadline for the next set of free warrants that we are about to accumulate. And they are juicy ones because this is the company that we are investing in. Now, I have to block the name off of the company. Why? Because myself and my colleague, we have just spent the last month negotiating with this company to receive the best terms possible on these warrants. Okay, remember the free warrants that we get in addition to the shares. And in this case, we have secured warrants that are extremely attractive. They are 3-year warrants, full warrants, good for 3 years. This is a primary silver mining company, however, that also has copper and gold assets underneath the ground. We have 3-year warrants that we have secured. And the reason why I can't show the name of this company, but I can only show you the chart, is that this company has not even announced this deal to the public yet. I'm serious. We have access to companies, we have access to deals in this service, myself and a network of colleagues that I have. We have access to deals before these companies even announce these things on their websites. Even if you knew the name of this company, you could not go onto their website and learn about this opportunity that I'm telling you. I'm serious. This is reserved for insiders and for those who are negotiating directly with the company. So unless you have one of that, it's very difficult to even find out about these deals. As I said, this is a silver, copper, and gold mining company. And the key is to look at these signatures that we're seeing here. Look at the green shaded area here. Look at the bullish engulfing price action that we've seen multiple times here, almost once per year, sometimes once every other year. Look at the bullish engulfing candlesticks that we've seen here, every 12 to 24 months. And look at the surges that tend to happen after you see those bullish engulfing candlesticks. And look at what we're just seeing right now. It's the next one of those, right? And so if you say, hey, the entire silver and gold mining sector is undervalued, and look at where this company is, I can't tell you how often I see people trying to buy shares in mining companies up at levels like this. If you see a chart like this and you say, hey, we're actually closer to the bottom here than we are anywhere near the top, you've automatically eliminated a significant amount of the risk. So that's what we do for you in our research, is find companies that are not, already skyrocketing, but companies that can perhaps be the next ones to skyrocket. Just talking about mathematical hypotheticals here for this silver, copper, gold mining company. I mean, let's just say we got back to the recent peaks here. This peak up here at 55 cents. The company is right now trading just below 20 cents. So let's say you were to get back to 55 cents. Notice a lot of these peaks matching up in here in the sort of 50 to 60 cent region. If that were to happen, you'd be looking at 150% gain in the shares. And remember, you'll have an additional gain in the warrants, which will be separate from the gain in the shares. You can also buy this company in the open market. If you would like to do that, the service for you is called Precious Metals Intelligence. That's where we're buying and selling shares like this in the open market. Elite Private Placements is the one that will get you the free warrants for almost twice the amount of the upside as these figures. So we're just talking about getting back to the recent peaks here. You can very plainly see this. We're nowhere near these recent peaks. I think the bigger potential here is just to get back to the 2016 peak. This is very logical. If you think about it, silver itself is above its 2016 peak right now, but so many of the gold mining companies have been lagging and the silver mining companies have been lagging. It's really, I think this is a once in a decade opportunity here. The last time that the miners were this undervalued was like this, and you had the companies rising by 1,000%. Okay, so we're not quite at that level. We're a few cents higher. But if we were to get back to the 2016 peak, you'd be looking at a move of 500% in this company. And I'm telling you, there are companies like this that are perfectly good companies that have been advancing their deposits, finding more silver in the ground, finding more gold in the ground, yet the market is just overlooking them. The market is short-sighted, irrational, focused on all sorts of, crazy bubbles going on everywhere in the world. And we should be happy about that because that gives us our opportunities for these life-altering potential gains. Remember, these gains do not include that additional risk-free profit potential that comes by the warrants. And if there's one point that I could make here for you, it's that those warrants, remember, we talked about that, the warrants are the ones where you can just sit back. You can sit under a shaded tree on a summer afternoon, sipping a lemonade. You can go to the beach. You can shut your computer screen. You can go skiing if it's wintertime. You can hang out with your family and your friends and go have a good time. All you need to do for the warrants is just wait. And you simply wait until the share price is above the exercise price. And when it's sufficiently above the exercise price, you cash in the warrants for that additional risk-free profit. Remember, that doesn't consider the shares. The shares are your risk. You could have an additional profit on the shares. It's the warrants that are your risk-free potential. And, that's what I'm all about at this stage in my life. Because, look, when I was in my 20s, I loved to sit in front of the computer all day long and all night and just stare at the charts, and get obsessed about every little squiggly line up and down. But increasingly in my more mature years here, I say to myself, you know what? I want a system that actually just works. A system that you just do and you just keep doing it because it keeps working and you realize profits. Yes, are there going to be occasional losses? Of course, any system has occasional losses. Anyone telling you otherwise is selling you hocus pocus. So you're going to have a lot of gains, you're going to have occasional losses, and then you're going to have those additional risk-free gains, which completely skews the odds in your favor. With those warrants, when you just say, there's no chance I'm taking a loss on my warrants, boom, you're done. That's all you need to do. Keep doing it. If you're interested in this kind of thing as we approach this holiday shortened week here in the United States, remember the service for you is called Elite Private Placements. Guys, remember, this is what I'm doing with my own capital. I've been here on YouTube for over 6 years. You've seen my evolution as an investor from someone who started mostly talking about the physical metals and then talking about shares in the mining companies and then talking about options and various ways to add leverage. I've arrived at this point for a reason. This is what works, and it works consistently, and it is so much less stress than any other form of trading or any other form of investing that I have ever seen or ever tried. So I want to take you with me. If you want to go, we're doing it already. The next deal for the free warrants is open now. As I said, it has the deadline of November 29th. It's that silver, copper, gold mining company that we just looked at. And literally, if you get to me after the 29th, I'll have to say I'm sorry, but you'll have to wait for the next placement, which will be sometime after the new year. Okay. The other services that I offer if you'd like to speak one-on-one. If you want to hash out a plan for yourself, if you want to talk about anything related to warrants or physical precious metals or the mining shares or the ETFs, just know that I can sit down with you. I approach this from an independent standpoint. I don't look to sell you anything. I don't take any fees from these companies. I just look to give you the best that I can of the sum of my knowledge in this market. If you would like to join our general precious metals investing service, remember this does not include any of the private placements anymore because we have launched a dedicated service for this. This includes 4 to 6 private placements per year. But our original service is called Precious Metals Intelligence. This includes the open market gold and silver miners that we are buying and selling here, as well as videos like what you're seeing right now that go out to you once per week, at least 50 weeks per year, as well as flash updates whenever we do anything in the open market positions. Think about this very closely, ladies and gentlemen, please. As we get into the Thanksgiving break here, I think this is a real appropriate time, and things are moving quickly. As you know, in the state of the world, I'm extremely alarmed by what I'm seeing related to the coronavirus pandemic. I'm alarmed with what I'm seeing politically around the world. I don't want to get into those topics right now because part of what I think that is the best thing to do for me personally, and perhaps you feel this way, is to be aware of what's going on. Take the best care of yourself, of your health as you possibly can. Stand up for freedom when you can, and then make sure that you have your ship secured. Not only health-wise, but financial-wise. And so you arrive at this kind of point, and if what I'm saying to you here makes sense to you, and you're saying, you know what, I would like to find a system where I can just make, let's say, 4 to 6 investments per year, take profits occasionally, trim some positions here and there occasionally, and then wait anywhere from 2 to 3 years for those warrants to be in the money with a low amount of stress. This is something that I'm extremely thankful for, that I have arrived at this place. Again, I say I didn't do it all myself. I had a number of people throughout my career who have helped me to get to this point, and I'm trying to help other people to get to the next point as well. Thank you for tuning in. The next update will be within the next couple of weeks. I can't guarantee the exact date, but we'll get back to a focus on the metals themselves for the next update. Happy Thanksgiving. See you then.